Hello there and welcome once again to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Camp Meyers. We're here every week meeting interesting people and dealing with topical issues, and we welcome back a good friend this week.
Well, we welcome back our most frequent visitor.
Is that right?
That's right.
Is that a record?
He's surpassed Joe Castiglione as being on the show more than anybody else, and we really are grateful.
That sounds like a challenge for Joe to have to come back for a two-parter. Just to take
or have them on
again.
together and let them fight.
Yeah, there you go.
We're going to have Berry Tramel on today talking about a bunch of things. There's an awful lot going on in the world of sports, and we're really pleased to have him back.
Berry Tramel, today's guest on The Verdict. We'll be right back.
Right now, 6 feet can feel like a long ways away. But from 6 feet, we can still smile at each other. From our doorways and our stairways, from opposite sides of the street and opposite sides of the country. Through fear and frustrations, we can remind each other that we are still here for each other. Because we can still smile at each other. And we're not going anywhere.
Military service ran in my blood, starting from my father, which joined the Navy, on the Chickasaw side, my uncle, which served in the United States Army. I'm Benjamin Espinosa, Chief Petty Officer, United States Navy, and I'm Chickasaw. I went to the Secretary of Defense's staff at the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., which ultimately led to becoming a combat support technician for Naval Special Warfare, specifically SEAL Team 10. I think to be proud and to love your tribe, to love being Chickasaw, you also have to love being American. You also have to love everything that America stands for. Equality, perseverance, professionalism, and power. I want my family to know that their father is a good person, but also feels that he has an obligation to the country and to love this nation. Anything worth having is worth dying for. The military and the country owes me nothing. I owe it everything.
See more stories about the Chickasaw people at profilesofanation.com.
We're back on The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Meyers. Kent's going to introduce today's guest.
Berry Tramel is back. A familiar name, a familiar face to you, I know. This is his 20th appearance on The Verdict over a number of years. He did his undergraduate work at the University of Oklahoma, was with the Norman Transcript 7 years, then went to the Oklahoman for 30 plus years, and then just recently this year transferred to Sellout Crowd, an organization that he and others formed to bring in a new sports coverage medium to the city and to the state and the nation for that matter. The one other thing that I want to mention that I'm not sure I've ever mentioned in his introductions in the past is that he is a member of the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. And that's no mean feat. Barry, glad to have you.
Well, thanks. I'm in the Journalism Hall of Fame,
Yeah,
Kent. That's as far as I've made it.
I left out that one word.
Someday they might put me in the Norman High School Hall of Fame. We'll see. Haven't made that one yet either. But no, I appreciate the kind words and always enjoy being with you guys.
Thank you.
Your new venture, selloutcrowd.com. How's that going?
Well, it's going great. We started it from scratch and on warp speed and got it up and running for football and had great response. And startup companies have a lot of bumps, and we had some bumps, but mostly it's been great. The reception's been great, and we're learning a new medium. A good chunk of my time is now with video, doing podcasts, and I didn't realize the impact of podcasts on journalism and media today, but I realize it now, and that's a major part of how people want to consume their news. They prefer to let me talk to them instead of read what I have to say. So that's going well, and the response from subjects and newsmakers has been overwhelming. I thought that might be a problem. The Oklahoman banner, the Oklahoman trademark is so strong across the nation, and explaining to people what Sellout Crowd is. It's going to take some time and those kinds of things, but it's really been fairly smooth. Just people responding great, whether it's the governor, the presidents of the universities, Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner. They've all appeared on my show, so I appreciate all of that response.
I would also think that your audience consists of big sports fans. I mean, you're not on selloutcrowd.com just because you want to find out what's going on every day. Like you might pick up a copy of a newspaper, and you may not be a sports fan, but you want to know what's going on in the world, and you might glance at something and see something. But now your audience is pretty hardcore sports fans. Do you change the level of your expertise and what you talk about, and you feel like, well, I don't need to explain what this is? This audience already knows.
Well, you do, because you do have a dedicated audience, as you mentioned, but also the change from newspapers to a digital format like this is also, the focus is not the same, because in newspapers we try to do in-depth projects, we try to do long-form stories and those kinds of things, but also the immediacy of the news was paramount, and that's not really what we do at Sellout Crowd. We're more of a digital magazine, more than we're more magazine than newspaper. And the only time we really say, hey, let's hurry up and hit deadline and cover, it's like football games, OU or OSU football games, or a big Thunder game, and then we rally the troops and we shuttle it in really quick and make sure people can consume the event they just attended or watched. But otherwise, we try to do projects and more long-term thinking and a wider range views of issues and stories.
So you're really doing post-game shows. Is that part of it?
That's a way to do it. Yeah, we do some of that, and we follow trends and stories, and get guests on the shows, but also we do focus on those big events.
When
also.
people are fired up,
right?
Right,
and we rally when something happens. Whether it's Danny Stutzman returning to OU, or the Big 12 championship game pairings, or something like that. We do quick turnaround videos because people want to see instant reaction.
Well, let me ask about Berry Tramel's workday now as opposed to when you were with the Oklahoman. Is it longer, shorter, about the same, harder, easier? How would you talk about it?
Well, it's about the same in terms of length. The one difference is I'm writing a little bit less, but I'm doing a lot more technological things on the digital side. I'm having to learn a lot of things. The 24-year-olds, just second nature to them. It's not second nature to me. So, we have a staff meeting once a week, and I get my daily or my weekly dose of humble pie, where they take turns making fun of me and then teaching me. So it's just something you have to put up with. But yeah, I think it's going to be easier the longer I do this and the more technological sound. But I've got a complete studio now in my home office with a lot of the same equipment that you guys have here. So that's just the way the business is going, the way media is going, the way culture's going.
I understand that you probably had some projections in mind when you put this together, and you hope to have so many readers, watchers, whatever we're going to call them, customers, even though they may not be paying customers by a certain period of time. How has your response been, particularly in relation to what you projected it would be?
Well, I mean, we've hit a lot of the benchmarks we've wanted, like 1 million page views in the first 3 months or whatever. Some of this I'm making up because this is not my level of expertise. But we did have a lot of that. And what we're really talking about this, guys, is the currency now is attention. People's attention. Can we capture people's attention? And that's what the written word does, but that's also what these podcasts and shows do. Is can you get people's attention? And that's sort of the new vernacular for people in marketing media. And so far we've done great in those metrics. We can take them to big companies. We had some companies sign up with us on Faith in August. But most people want to say, I never heard of you. Show me something. we now have things we can show them, and what we're showing them is that we're capturing people's attention. Amount of view time when they click on our story or click on one of our shows, amount of hours spent on Sellout Crowd, which is up into the thousands and thousands of hours and whatever it is. Just so that's everything changes so fast these days, guys. Somebody like me can't keep up with it, but I sit and listen to people and I catch some of what they are saying, and attention is the new way. So what I do is the way I try to make sure I connect with people is I have a newsletter twice a week and email. And if you want, go to selloutcrowd.com and you can sign up for my newsletter, connect with me, and then you can keep up with all we're doing, because it's very difficult otherwise, because the shows come so fast, the writing comes so fast. In the old days, the delivery was, we put a newspaper on your front lawn.
Yeah.
And, it was sort of an orderly world. And it's not so orderly anymore. There's just a million things going on, and you got to try to corral it. So my newsletter is probably the best way to get a rope around it.
As we record this show, the regular season for college football has ended. What are your thoughts on, let's start with OU and then go to OSU?
I thought it was a good year for OU, a bounce-back year to get back into Big 12 contention. Turned out they didn't make it to Arlington, but a 10-2 season portends very well for the future going into the SEC. That's exactly what they needed. The schedule was easy, so they should have won 10 games, but they did. So
they beat Texas.
And they beat Texas, which is never a bad thing. And when you go to the SEC, you want to have a foundation. Brent Venables seems to have laid the foundation. We don't know ever what's going to happen with the portal, but the early returns, it looks like OU might actually have a better defense than offense going into next season, which who thought that could happen this quick under Brent Venables? And some of that is the offensive losses, but a good chunk of it is the defensive returnees. A lot of Billy Bowman coming back, Danny Stutzman coming back. Very, very good, encouraging signs. At OSU, what a great year.
Let me jump in, get us to a break, and we'll do OSU when we get back. We're watching The Verdict with Berry Tramel, and we'll be right back.
At Whitten Burridge, we're litigators. That's all we do. All of our clients, some sort of wrong has occurred to them. We try to right that wrong. Corporate America, they have all the power. It's sort of like going against an army. I like helping the underdog. That's what gets me up out of bed every day.
Our success rate is phenomenal, but that's not all they get. We care about people.
I'm very proud of what we've been able to do for our clients, and I'm looking forward to what we're going to do in the future. There's still a lot of wrongs that need to be righted.
OU Law has a history and heritage that are unparalleled. At the University of Oklahoma College of Law, we empower our students to pursue the career of their dreams. We have the highest U.S. News ranking ever achieved by an Oklahoma law school. We are the first law school in the country to launch a college-wide digital initiative. And this year, our competition teams rank number 2 in the nation. OU Law, generations of excellence, limitless possibilities.
We're back on The Verdict. Mick, Cornett, Kent Meyers, and our guest is Berry Tramel. When we left, you were going to talk about Oklahoma State's football season.
Well, what a great season. I mean, a disappointing blowout loss to Texas in the Big 12 title game, but you're in the Big 12 title game. Yeah. And you beat the Sooners. You kept the Sooners out of Arlington. It's a great year for Oklahoma State going forward. Found a superstar in tailback Ollie Gordon, found a running game, and to play as poorly as they did in September and to come back, it really rejuvenated the program and reminded us that Mike Gundy has had great success and continues to have that. And things are looking really good for Oklahoma State going forward in the new look Big 12. Certainly 16 teams, all kinds of things will happen in a 16-team league, but OSU certainly put itself in the upper echelon.
I was astonished, and I don't get astonished all that often. I was astonished by the number of players who entered the portal immediately on the first. I don't even remember the number. I just remember being astonished.
Yeah.
What's your take on all that? You know, we've had some time now to kind of get used to this aspect.
Well, here is what I have discovered in my study of human history. If you give people freedom, they usually use it. People like it. And this is nothing more than freedom to go, make a decision. If you want to leave, leave. Coaches have had this for years. We let a coach, leave OU and go to USC. We let a coach leave Clemson and go to OU. We let coaches do whatever they want, basically. And now the players have that decision. You can leave and play without penalty. So players are taking advantage of it. They're doing it for playing opportunity. They're doing it for profile opportunity, a bigger stage. They're doing it for financial reasons with the NIL, the name, image, likeness money. Some guys can make a lot more money somewhere else. They're leaving and changing locales for the same reason that adults do, for a lot of different reasons. So the concern is that it's going to create an inequitable society, as if college football was ever equitable. I mean, the same teams have won 50, 60 years. There's some exceptions to that, but it's the most tradition-rich sport in America, and part of that is because the same schools have dominated for decades. And so far, parity has actually improved in the portal era. We've had a TCU in the championship game. We had a Cincinnati in the playoff. We've had different schools winning the Big 12 in recent years. The Pac-12 has had upheaval. ACC's even lost it. The SEC and the Big Ten haven't had much parity change. They're the dominant conferences. Maybe that's a warning sign that parity won't last. But so far, college football seems better than ever.
Let's change the subject to something we wanted to talk to you about last time you were on. We just ran out of time, and that's the Thunder. Give us your thoughts about what's going on.
The future is so bright for the Thunder. I don't know. Mick knows the history as well as anybody, but I don't know how we got so lucky with such a young franchise and now about to enter a second golden era. I mean, the Thunder landed in our laps 15 years ago with a guy we all figured was going to be a superstar, and soon enough he had a sidekick who also joined him as a superstar. Durant and Westbrook had all those glorious seasons up through 16, and then some good years beyond that. And now it's happening again with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Chet Holmgren and Santa Clara Williams. We got all these guys that can play. They're young, they're versatile, they can play, and the Thunder culture seems to be winning out. Mark Daigneault looks to be a good coach. I mean, we're headed for a long runway of more success. And if you're in Charlotte or Sacramento or Memphis or one of these places, you got to be sitting back looking at the basketball gods saying, why do you like Oklahoma City so much? I mean, this never happens to us. We've been here forever. And Oklahoma City, they had a year and a half of sort of downtime. And now we're back in the saddle. It's going to be great. The arena is going to be rocking. Playoff games, huge matchups. Unbelievable fun and drama. It's just wonderful for a basketball fan.
Is the explanation Sam Presti?
Well, he's a good chunk of it. He's got a lot of Sam's got a lot of good people working for him, and the way they draft and the analytical minds led by Sam, but there's a lot of guys helping him that realize what a certain trade can do and what it can build up for the next year. When you look back at the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander trade and you wake up that morning and think, oh, Paul George wants out of town, and you're bummed out. Then you see the trade and you think, well, it's actually a pretty good trade. 2 or 3 years later, it was the great train robbery. I mean, the Thunder just stole the Clippers blind. You wouldn't trade SGA and Paul George straight up for each other, much less all those draft picks. So the ability to look ahead and see what the landscape looks like is a great Presti trait, and it's really paying off for the Thunder.
What's your prediction on the election? On the arena election?
Well, I mean, I think it'll pass, and I think the new arena would be great for Oklahoma City and the Thunder. Guarantee about 50 straight years of the new arena through maps, two arenas, and it'll be great.
What's the capacity of the new arena as on the drawing board as opposed to what we have now?
The capacity won't change much. Somewhere in the 19,000 range. That'll adjust some. But seats are no longer the commodity that matters. It's experiences, premium seating, luxury suites, restaurants, meeting spaces. That's what people really want to spend their money on. And just number of seats. People are making arenas generally smaller. That's true on football, basketball, baseball. The only place really they don't do that is SEC football, where they're running a vanity game. You know, Texas gets to 100,000, so A&M says I got to get to 100,000, and you know Tennessee's 106,000, and Georgia and Alabama say we got to get up there. So that's not happening in professional sports. The experience part, the premium seating, the amenities. That's what people want, and that's what the new arenas are going to really focus on.
Let's get back to Sellout Crowd. Your feedback with your audience, it's got to be much more immediate than it's ever been before. What do you hear back from your people? What are they telling you?
Well, they like the video. You know, when I got into sports radio, one of the great, I'm on the Sports Animal daily, and one of the things people really resonated with was the ability to hear me talk and feel like they get to know me more. And so that's been an advantage to my career for the last 20 years. And now with the shows and the video, we call them shows, they're video podcasts is what they are, but you can watch me interact. Jenny Carlson and I do a couple of shows a week. I have a guest on once a week. And you just feel like they get to sit there and listen to us talk and sit at a table with us. So the personal connection is much more than in the old days when you're just reading a piece of newsprint. And you get a feel for who we are and what we're all about. But when you get to see somebody on video, it's a different experience. So they feel like they get to know me more, make a better personal connection, and that's been really rewarding. And I think it's going to continue to be more so as we go down the road.
What sort of audience feedback do you have? Do you have OU fans or OSU fans or Thunder fans? Do you see yourself kind of heading in one direction or another based on the preferences of your audience?
We do. We follow that a lot. The metrics. In the old days, we really were guessing at what people were reading. Now we literally know down to the person, not just what they're reading, but how long they're staying with us. So I think OU football's number one. My boss once said his 5 favorite stories would be do a story on OU football, then do another story on OU football, then do a third story on OU football, then do an OU football and a Thunder story. So OU football dominates the market in a lot of ways, and but OSU football still very significant. Thunder still very significant. The Thunder will rise even more, I think, with the SGA era. Cowboys do well in the new Big 12. That'll go up. So, but college football still number one in the Oklahoma City market, and we get a lot of feedback from there. People all over the country and really the world are able to tune in and follow us. I had an OSU fan from Alaska emailed me just yesterday. So, and I've been up here forever, but I follow you. So it's a really cool thing. One of the great things about technology is the worldwide reach you can have to stay connected to your home state.
Got about 20, 30 seconds left. What do you want our audience to do? Go on sellout.com, sign up for what? What
go to selloutcrowd.com and sign up for my newsletter, and that's your best way to stay connected to everything I'm doing. But you can also go to selloutcrowd.com and just go through big cafeteria and watch the shows you want to watch and read the stuff you want to read, and it's all free. Subscribe, but it's no paywall. So it's all sponsorship driven.
Berry Tramel, thanks for coming on the show.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you.
Kent and I'll have a final word when we get back.
This is the epidemic of my generation. This is my HIV. This is my Black Plague.
In the midst of one of our state's largest crises,
Oklahomans are dying from this preventable and treatable disease on a daily basis.
We believe there's hope.
That little pill will cause destruction through your whole life.
Watch the entire award-winning 9-part docuseries Killing Pain, made available by Fighting Addiction Through Education at killingpain.com.
It used to be okay in teachers' lounges. It used to be okay in maternity wards. It was okay in sporting arenas, college campuses, and office spaces. But now that we understand the deadly dangers of secondhand smoke, that's not okay anymore. So why is it okay that thousands of employees are exposed to it every day at work? Bottom line, it's not okay. Let's protect hardworking Oklahomans. Join the fight at stopswithme.com.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
I think for us, once we got started and we began to see the tremendous need just within our state, it really was just a calling for us. The blessings far outweigh any obstacles that we've faced.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
The Verdict, another really good show with Berry Tramel as our guest.
That's the only thing he brings with him is a good show, always.
And selloutcrowd.com sounds like it's a very interesting place, and urge all of our viewers to get on there.
Well, I love reading what Berry writes, and I'm on Sellout Crowd, and I love how he's continuing the really good stuff that he used to do at the Oklahoman. Yeah, we encourage it.
Selloutcrowd.com, again, is the website where you can get more from Berry and one of our recent guests, Jenny Carlson. And we have a website, theverdict.tv. Log on and tell us about a show you'd like to see here. That's going to do it for now, though. For Kent Meyers, I'm Mick Cornett. We're so appreciative of you joining us here on this Christmas week, and hope you have a Merry Christmas. And we'll be back next time with another edition of The Verdict.